The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Do you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Do you know that plastics take at least...
challenge. Are vacant by the court of the High Court of the land. Now this comes after Nambi, who was the NRM candidate, petitioned and the court nullified the entire election, deeming it really not fraudulent in nature. They point out, or the court points out a couple of issues that I'll be sharing with you this morning. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. I'm streaming live from Lukuli Nanganda along Setenda Lane here at the Digitalk head offices. We welcome you to yet another insightful and interesting episode of the Mighty Drive Show. We're always here every weekday. We start at 8 to 10 a.m. breaking dawn with Uganda, having a conversation that will help you make an informed decision at the end of the day and keep you at bar with everything that is happening in the Pearl of Africa. I have a couple of news stories here, but I'll also be going on in the world of sport on the international scene, telling you some of the things that are happening right there. So what you can do is join the conversation at Digitalk TV, at the Alternative Uganda. That is on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. Send me your messages. I'll be reading them subsequently as we continue with the program. This morning, I'll be joined by the head of institutions at the National Unity Platform, that is Mr. David Musiri. We paint a conversation on what is happening in that particular realm, but also we look at the East African activism as the East African community. What is hindering this activism, and why are we seeing a couple of recurring incidents, especially that are negative or notorious in the realm of politics of East Africa. It is the same phenomenon in Uganda, the same phenomenon in Kenya, the same as Tanzania. How best or how better can activism be improved in East Africa? That's going to be the topic of discussion of the day. So please send me your messages, queries, questions. I'll be reading them subsequently as we continue with the program. Now, we move on to some of the news stories that are making rounds right here. As I informed you earlier on, yesterday, court confirmed that Council Nalukola's victory in the Kawempe North election has been nullified. Now, this comes on grounds that the court really highlighted for the entire populace to see. In this particular court ruling, the judge Bernard confirmed that first of all, Council Nalukola carried out what you call campaigns or elections on the voting day. This is not allowed by the constitution. Then also, Bernard points out, or the judge points out, that there was a challenge, especially in the camp of Nambi, who is the NRM flag bearer, and says that this lady was not able to vote. That is the first thing. But also that another 16,000 were defranchised and were not able to vote for their rightful leader. Then also, they also point out a point of 14 polling stations that are located in Kawempe North that were not able to vote or carry out their elections. Now, these are the grounds that Judge Bernard Namanya pointed on, or really stood on, to just nullify this election. Now, according to the Electoral Commission of Uganda, through its Electoral Commission boss, that is Judge Justice Byabakama, they will not be appealing this decision that was made by the court of the land. Now, that means that, as court ordered, we shall be seeing an election carried out in Kawempe as soon as possible. Now, still in this particular regard, the rhetoric is the constitution of the land does not allow a by-election prior or 6 months to the general election, which in this case, when you look at it very well, it's 6 months to the general elections that will be carried out in January next year. Now, will the Electoral Commission be able to do this? And also, the National Unity Platform, through their Secretary General, and also Council Nalukola, confirmed that they will be appealing the court decision. And I've got information from relevant sources that the Court of Appeal can take up to 90 days, that is 3 months, to be heard by the judge. So, in these 3 months, if justice has not yet been dispensed, in fact, how does that really affect the ultimate position or the ultimate verdict that will be given by the court? Now, this is something that is raising eyebrows. We'll be asking some of the lawyers that we have here at Digital TV to paint a picture for us what this means, especially to the people who, to the Electoral Commission that is mandated to carry out this free and fair election. Now, it's just 18 minutes past the top of the hour. You're still watching The Mighty Drive. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga, and we're coming live from Lukuli, right here in Nanganda in Makindye Division. So that is what is happening, especially in the realm of Council Nalukola. But as I've informed you, the Secretary General of National Unity Platform, that is David Lewis Rubongoya, will be appealing this decision to the Court of Appeal to see how it will be challenged. Then also, there is also another irregularity of what it means to vote, because according to some of the evidence or the footage that we had on the voting day in Kawempe North, Miss Farida Nambi was able to cast a ballot, or we saw her, reach out to the polling station and cast a ballot. But then, according to Judge Bernard Namanya, this is not actually voting. So what tantamounts to voting? That is the question that we're asking ourselves. Is casting a ballot the same thing as voting? Or in case there's a bit of confusion at the polling center, if I've casted my ballot, that means I did not vote in the grand scheme of things. We want to understand what that means, because it has painted a rather bizarre picture, or unclear picture for us as the media. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are still watching Digital TV. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. Then we shall move on to President Museveni and the First Lady, that is Janet, in a prayer session that was held on Sunday by their daughter, Pastor Patience Wabogo. these two, through a prayer, apologized to the country. Now, in a prayer that was made by both the president and the wife, that is Janet Museveni, at Kololo Independence Grounds, these two reiterated the need for forgiveness from their Lord over some of the issues that have not been working right in their political party. They, first of all, acknowledge that, yes, there are some challenges that have been happening in Uganda, especially in Buganda region, and they apologized for these particular challenges. In fact, they bore the burden of anybody who had, taken part, who had, negatively affected Uganda, and they say, according to, on behalf of their agents, on behalf of their supporters, and on behalf of the government that they serve or lead, they apologize to the Lord. Now, this apology, or this repentance rather, various people have taken it in various ways. Some say this is not a genuine repentance or apology because, according to some sources, the best apology, and this is Dr. Sarah Birete who mentioned it, the best apology would be a change of heart. And if President Museveni said that he was not going to compete in the general election and says he's going to rest in Rwakatura with his family, that would be rather a better apology according to that particular lady. So many people are saying this. In fact, even Chagulanyi Robert Sentamu also reiterated on that particular matter, trying to bottle down the repentance of the president. But yes, it was what the president did, and it's often something seldom that the president is repentant, and especially to Ugandans. It's very, very rare that the president can come out to say apologies and I'm sorry. So yeah, it was something that was unique and different on that particular day. You're still watching Digital TV. You're continuing with the mighty global news updates. As I told you, I have Mr. David Musiri, who is the head of institutions at the National Unity Platform, and also wants to compete to take the leadership of Makindye West constituency. He's going to be standing for MP of this particular constituency. I'll also be talking about that. Then lastly, I'll just finish up in the world of sport, because as we speak right about now, we're going to be seeing the Champions League, or we're going to be watching the Champions League this particular weekend, as Inter Milan will be tussling it out with Paris Saint-Germain, PSG. Now, this is going to be a phenomenon on one in a million finals that we've not seen in a while, because PSG is looking out to be able to, confirm their treble. They want to win a treble after already winning the French league, and of course, one of the French Coppa Italia, French trophies or French tournaments that are also, held there. So if they win the Champions League, they will be able to claim a treble, and it will be the second time that Luis Enrique, their manager, will be doing that. Remember, in 2015, Luis Enrique, with the company of Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and Neymar, was able to go and win himself a treble. That is back in 2015, and that was the last Champions League that Barcelona was able to claim for themselves. So up to today, 10 years down the road, there hasn't been a Champions League that has been won by Barcelona. But Luis Enrique is back at the finals of the UEFA Champions League. Then still in the world of sport, there are different managers that are signing with different clubs. As we speak right now, Xabi Alonso has been confirmed as the new manager for Real Madrid, the Galacticos. Now, Xabi Alonso was a player at Real Madrid, and he was able to make history. He won La Liga with them. He won the Champions League with them. He won the Champions League with Liverpool as well. So Xabi Alonso is a legend, and one of the new phenomenons of Xabi Alonso is the treble that he was about to win. In fact, he actually won. He was going to win the quadruple after winning 3 titles with Bayer Leverkusen last season. Now, he was only beaten 1 game. He had an undefeated league win, but also he was about to have a full season unbeaten with Bayer Leverkusen, something that you don't find every day. This gentleman was beaten on the last day, that is when he was playing Atalanta in the final. Ademola Lookman came out and was big in that final after scoring a hat-trick and giving or handing Xabi Alonso his first ever lose of the season. So that means last season, Xabi Alonso went the entire season only losing 1 game. That is not something that you find every day. So congratulations to Xabi Alonso, who will be taking leadership at the Real Madrid. And of course, he, in his opening remarks, he talked about Kylian Mbappe, he talked about Vinicius Jr., and says these are very, very good players, and he already has a plan for them. Then also Bayer Leverkusen has signed Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag is the Manchester United flop. He was just recently, one would say, sacked from the leadership of Manchester United, and Ruben Amorim was appointed then. Now Erik ten Hag is enjoying his life at Bayer Leverkusen after he signed a new deal to be leading that particular club. So maybe I'll just stop there, just 26 minutes past the top of the hour. You are watching the Mighty Drive Show. It's now time I take a short commercial break. When I come back, I'll be joined by Mr. David Musiri. We'll be having a conversation about National Unity Platform, East Africa, and the world at large. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. The Mighty Drive Show continues.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes, it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
That's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
The Ugandan National Museum, a place where unforgettable memories are created. Traditions are found and a connection to our Paul is reinforced. It is not only a testimony to the history of our nation, but also impacts knowledge of cultural and natural heritage to the present and future generations for their enjoyment. Through a variety of activities and exhibitions, we gather to discover our traditions and create new ones. The Uganda Museum is our country's cultural icon that makes it accessible for the next generations to come together as our story unfolds and represents the interplay of our country's past and present. It is in our history, but also in how it has evolved to embrace optical satisfaction and new influences. Our identity as a country is not only a moment in time, but also a journey of where we have been where we are and where we are going. We invite you to experience the authentic heritage, rich history of Uganda. Welcome to the Uganda National Museum.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You are still watching Digital TV. Edachikazi zino ziri asatu mubiri ezakaita kusawa ebiri ezokumacha mwebale kubanga mukyaliwo era webale kubanga ochane kumideko kyoino kola subscribing ku ka button kola bawansawo awali ekigambo subscribe ku YouTube osobola okusubscribe nga buli subscribing kituyamba eno feed okutambula eri abantu bangi naffe kituyambira ddala okubanga tukutegekera okuleetera abantu abagenda okumanya oberenga naawe otegera biki ebigenda maaso mu ggwanga lya Uganda. Nze Edgar Mathew Karuhanga nga ina basuubiza olunaku luno olwaleero nina omwami bamuyita David Musiri. Ono nno yakulembera institutions mu oba kyewaliise agasetendekero oba setendekero ez'enjawulo mu National Unity Platform ate nga y'omu ku bantu abagala okubanga bakulembera Makindye West constituency. Wano nyini wetuli so wetwogere yanze ndi mulonzi wa omwami David Musiri sewo kyasanyo okubeeranga naawe webali kutukumira kutuwaya akadde n'ojjawuli wano n'otubuuzaako
nange okuddamu okulabako omwami Karuhanga n'abatuwuliriza n'abo abatulaba okuva ebunaayira era njagala okubakubiikiriza bonna ababadde tebannaba kwegatta ku Facebook tu live bajje n'abasubscribinga omwami Karuhanga abagambyeko tuli wano ate mu constituency eno constituency Makindye West yentabiro by'obufuzi entabiro by'obufuzi kitegeeza wano bwe butandikira tebulyoka bugabanyibwako ewalala kyova olaba abasajja emwaŋŋuli bava wano Makindye West.
Kituufu nnyo. Muli mutya ab'e Makindye?
Ate tubadde bubi wadde mbadde sirimu omanyi wawaawo ebitakwatagana bulungi mu East Africa ne kusemazinga Africa oluusi abatono abakyali very vigilant and very conscious tuvaayo ne tugamba nti waliwo wano ekitatambula bulungi so tulina okuvaayo ne tukyekwatirako. Ebiseera ebisinga abantu bakyawanye ekibi ng'obusiraamu bwe bugamba naye omuntu asobola okukyogerako omuntu asobola okukikyawa naye ekisinga obukulu kukikwatako kukijjawo. Otavaayo ne weenyigiramu butereevu n'olaga obutali bumativu ebiseera ebisinga obeera osiwa nsaano ku mazzi. So tuvaayo ebyenjawulo tubadde East Africa ebadde n'ebizibu bingi. Muganda waffe Tunduliso Tanzania ali mabuso. Abaganda baffe abasalawo okugendayo ba lawyers abamu baba deporting nga ba Martha Karua okuva Kenya. Abaganda baffe ba Boniface Mwangi ne bakwatibwa ne mwannyinaffe Agatha Atuhaire bye babakola tebyali birungi. So twali tulina okuvaayo kangula eddoboozi okwogera ebintu bya Africa tebitambula butambuzi bwe bityo.
Kati tunagenda na mu nsonga za East Africa nawe obadde n'ensonga zo ng'omuntu last naliko naawe ndoza sabiti ntonoke emabega wava wano najja obulira ate David Musiri bamukutte ali mu kkomera. Kiki ekyagenda mu maaso? Do you want to highlight with the country?
Nange ninga abannayuganda abalala bentera okugamba nti bannayuganda tubeeranga nkoko z'abatamiivu. Koko y'omutamiivu omutamiivu lwanywa nadda neekookolima agambe emugijjeeko omutwe. So ngaba na Uganda abalanga ate nawe mukowe omwogwa. No one is safe. No one is safe. You can be arrested any day. You can be arrested after here. You can be abducted. Anything can happen at the end of the day. So it was no. Nakulwali lwa Easter. Abasajja ne bansalako mu bukambwe nnyo obungi bambadde ya mundu bakuba amasasi gakyeyo nonere ne banteekako. Batukyali awo mu transit. Rejat ne yingirawo nga kati awo nno ne batandika ono waffe UPDF nayo nesalako jaje gambo no waffe police ga tusoke tumutwala reporting ku police amaje gagamba tumutwale ate gwe odanga zikyuka masimu gagavuga agenjawulo
batwalira ki Musiri lwaki buli omu amutwala
anti era nga bwe nakugamba nti era ntera okugamba abantu nti tusabiragane. Abamu kuffe ndowooza abasajja bali ku bunkenke batutya era tebandiyagadde nnyo tubeere nga tumalako n'okubeera mu kalulu kano ate ebiseera ebyo military court yali evuddewo kati nga balina okuteekako ogusango bandi awo ne bagamba nti omusango gwe tuguvunaana Musiri gwa aggravated robbery. Aggravated robbery kitegeeza wakozesezza n'ekyuma ekyokulwanyisa mundu kisobi wakozesezza force so bagiteekako ne homicide nti n'ekikolwa kyali kireetera omuntu kyandibadde kiviiramu omuntu okufa. So byali tebitegerekagana abaleeta ba complainant ayogera kino ayogera kiri ayogera kino. So kyamukisa mulungi na Katonda n'Abannayuganda akuvaayo. Ndowooza njagala kwebaza Abannayuganda abateetuulako ne balaajana bapostinga bakuba emiranga baali balina buli omu kye yali asobola okukola yakikola. Tusobola okubanga kati olwaleero twakola ki twavaayo naye twandibadde nga kati twali committed ndowooza nga tulinze court ya high court.
Edimutwe naye bamuleetako mu court yawe Masaka naye ng'endabika Edimutwe gye yalimu yayitira Biterisa Nakabululu. Gwe wali eyo, how was the experience? Do you want to give us the details? Oba kanchikubuzi directly, were you tortured?
No, nze sali tortured. Olw'ensonga nti ekimu ku bintu ebyasinga okuyamba abasajja bye bajja waka ekyalo kyonna kyavaayo. Kusooka ne basooka bateekawo amaanyi nga bagamba tewali gye mutwala mubaka waffe. Tewali gye mumutwala. Era tekyali kyangu kusooka kumbuzaawo era bwe banzijjaawo n'abantu ne bagoberera nga buli step yonna gye bantwalamu abantu banamakingi nsinga okwebaza mirwana gyange okuva esalaama buli yali abaafuna boda baazifuna abalinnya taxi ne bazirinya abaavuga emmotoka ezaabwe ez'obuyonjo ne bazivuga nga buli we tudda balondoola. Ekisooka ekirungi nti nze bakikola misana ate abantu bavaayo nnyo abeerosi ne bavaayo ba defense ne bavaayo. So okujjako awo nti abaana be bankwata nabo waliwo omwana bamuyita Kizza Kalibala yali akimye ku ssente asomera awo Katwe Nuuru ali mu senior 6 yali azeewo nga bwona alaba muganda wazze waka afuneweko kuki kyobuyambi oyo gwe baakuba ennyo bamukuba nnyo naye nga mbabuuza mukuba waaki nga alina ekimukubisa nga bagamba annumirize nti emisango mituufu. So
kati emisango bakuba bantu ate
anti baba banoonya obujulizi baba tebabuyina naye ekyatuusibwa ku baganda baffe naddala muganda wange Edi Mutwe kyali kibi nnyo kyennyamiza. Tinolwaleero kooti yavaayo kati ziri ennaku tugenda mu lunaku lwa 6 kooti yavaayo negamba bamuwe transfer okuva e Masaka adde Luzira naye kaakati tebalina kye baakoze ng'ate ali mu bulamu obwo bubi ennyo oba oli awo kisobola n'okumutwalira nekimujja ne mu bulamu bw'ensi eno. So kibi nnyo nti muganda waffe tafiiriddwako. Twetaaga we need justice for Edi Mutwe. We need justice for everyone that is under his correction.
Yeah, we need justice. But one thing is, how are you going to get justice? Because what was the arbitrary arrests? Katingeye, iyo, ngao olaba Edi Mutwe oluusi kwa Edi Mutwe yagamba omusango yagutegera alina mu court that day. Naye ng'olredde bamuyisizaamu kyo waliisa oba eggaali. Digital kukyali the same here. Ba raiding ako digital offices one headquarters. Nibakwata naye obutwatuka mu court ng'obujulizi tebuliiwo. So this bluntance of arresting people naye nga ate tolina bujulizi. How do you think we can deal with it as a country? Because it's now looking like a tool for oppression.
Ekisinga okwetaagisa solution yeri emu nga bwolaba bwe kiri enshrined in our constitution of Uganda nti the power belongs to the people. Abantu balina kuzuukuka ne bategeera nti amaanyi gali gye bali. Abantu ne bamanya nti kyonna kyonna kye basobola. Abantu sebo basobola okuredinga wano digitalk. Abantu ne bagamba nti mwina gye mubatwala. Yeah, and it is possible. Oba ne bagamba nti bwe baddamu okuwamba nti katugeze bawambye Honorable Musiri David Boji. Kulo tugenda okoyiwa ku nguudo. By the way, let me tell you nti ebintu ebireetedde amawanga amalala okugoba bannakyemalira wano byonna bibaddewo. Ne wakyaliwo naggwa n'asirise akyebase be bantu. Abantu bateekeddwa okugamba nti ekimala kimala. Bantu bokka is the solution. Not even the
other. Abiri basituka. Twafune abantu at least government yakakasa 5 abagwa. Naye nga ate mulago eyogera more that came with gunshot.
No, abiri mu
yes.
November 17 ne 18. Abantu oyinza okulowooza nti abantu basituka, but it was deliberate by government to shock the people. Abantu abasinga abakubibwa bayite bekalakaza. Abamu ku bo baali batwala mmere. Abamu ku bo waliwo omwana yali agenda okusasula umeme. Waliwo be bakubiranga just kulengeza bulengeza. In fact yali trigger just where it was a wake up call for the people to come and raise. I would say that.
And you kill 50 of them?
No, let me tell you.
You're killing people who don't do anything. Okay, if they killed one would say an enemy, but you're king of Ugambi, bachala batambuza mmere, bana bato bagenda ku ssomero. Abana abatalina mu bintu bino. So they are the victims at the end of the day.
That's why I'm saying that the people are the victims. But what is the constant? If, for example, that day, if people had gotten determined and say whether they kill us, because they can kill some of us, but they cannot kill all of us. They can imprison some of us, they cannot imprison all Ugandans. That's the constant. Whether you want to abduct people, you cannot abduct all Ugandans. So that is the limit it can go to, the extreme that abantu singa basalawo ne bagamba nti byonna basobola bikola, basobola kwatako batono. Neti basobola tusirisa fenna. Therefore ne basalawo ne bagenda an extra mile ne bagamba ekiba kibe, ekimala kimala. The people are the solution of these atrocities. There is nothing. It is the people at the end of the day. Abantu kasa bagamba nti tebaddamu kuwamba omuntu gwe baddamu okuwamba because the list is endless. Tetumanyi nti ani addako.
Yes.
That question of who is next, no one knows. So you can be next.
Yes.
Someone behind the camera can be next. You, the viewer, you can be next. So apart from when you decide no gamba nti ekijja kijje.
Wale tumanyi mu opposition mwe kamwe bagenda okwata. Aren't you scaring the viewer?
It's never about opposition because whoever says they will not indulge themselves in the politics.
Yeah, they've left it for you.
No. Politics is life. Everything that you do every day is politics. When you decide on what to use, how to shower is also politics. What you're going to procure that day, what you are going to be fed on that day, what is going to be your dinner is still part of politics. You see, you cannot, people just lie themselves. You cannot separate yourself from politics. Tewali asobola kugamba nti nze siri mu byabufuzi.
Anti oli yayizo gamba bajja kwata mmwe. Why I ask you that question is because there is a narrative nti abo Ugandans try to alienate themselves okuva mu political processes. But this reminds me that Twine Charles is incarcerated right now, also charged with Noah Mutwe. Kugawe mutandise n'okukwatagana n'abantu abali mu system.
No, it's not the first that it is happening. Yeah, neche ngamba nti why people think because they are not part of opposition,
yes,
therefore they are friends of government, then they are wrong. Because almost every Ugandan is an enemy. You see, when the dictators, tyrannies try to, start to wage war with Ugandans, with citizens, that is what happens. because they see citizens of Uganda as a burden. Balaba nti bino bizibu ate nga Abannayuganda bano bebasasula omusolo naye olwokubanga nti bwebasasula omusolo ate omusolo guno eyandibadde nga payback is through, for example, infrastructure
services.
Kati Abannayuganda bebacomplaininga ku musolo lubafuuka the enemies of government. Naye nga bebasasula omusolo naye webacomplaininga ku services nti abanaye omusolo tugusasula naye tetulina wetugenda ekiruddu teri ddagala, wetugenda emulago teri ddagala, wetubeera ekawempe abakyala abagenda musanya bafiirayo. Therefore they become a very big burden to government. That's why they are all enemies and they are not exempted. Nti we baba bagenda kukwata tewaliwo muntu yenna yenna gwe bagenda kuttira ku liiso.
Kyentegera mu kyogamba mbu it's not about opposition, it's about dissenting voice. Wolitukanga you are dissenting to the system,
yeah,
then you become
ne woba olwaleero ng'oli mu SFC, but the moment you bring out a dissenting voice,
yes, sir,
you are an enemy to government. You are a rebel. Actually, they don't only see you as an enemy, but they see you to the extent of a rebel. To the extent that nti newe bandibadde kati nga bwolaba nti olwaleero tubadde ne martial court. Naye martial court eno yandibadde obwakale gye bazzizaawo yandibadde it's like a disciplinary tribunal for the UPDF, for the men in uniform.
Exactly, that's how it's
because
called.
we have seen twali wano ne Afande Kirumira. He wasn't tried in the military court. He had ammunitions, he's a policeman, which is given to him by the act of the constitution, but he wasn't tried in the martial court, you know. Naye kati yo military court kati kulabira ddala nga n'okusinga omuyeekera yagala buli kimu kyonna kyonna yagala ekikozese evudde ne ku traditional ways of how to arrest someone, or how to prosecute someone, how the courts adjudicate. It is beyond that. Kubanga kati weewuunye nti military court wenaabanga yeekwata omuntu ani agenda okufairinga, because police has always done that. Police files and then you see them coming back as witnesses. Now, yes, what is going to be the role of police in a military court? In a military court?
But this kirowooza kiki.
No. Because police yetwala file. That's why ogenda okwesanga nga abantu ababadde mu military court n'olwaleero bamachete bakugamba nti tebalina file ziri sanctioned from kubanga waliwo traditional way of doing things.
Nti omupolisi bagenda muyita mu kooti wali sokotu obujuzi wadde ogenda omuarrestinga kino kyabaddewo. How was it? I know.
Today, that's why we are in a dilemma. Dr. Kano Kiza Besigye bamukwata naye tebagoberera mitendera. Tewaliwo alina kumuwaako obujulizi. Yebola andi batuuka mu kooti ne bagamba nti ate tuyambe otuwe essimu yo tusobole okufuna obujulizi. Naye nga there are traditional ways of doing things. If really tetugaana nti olwaleero Dr. Kiza Besigye bamukwata omuntu yenna alina asobola okukwatibwa naye engeri akwatibwa mu makubo matuufu. Era wonaamuteekaawo osobola okumuvunaana okumuvunaana omuntu oteekeddwa kusinziira ku bujulizi naye n'obujulizi bukulu ani abuleese ani abuwaayo. It is very important for us.
Okay. David Musiri, MP to be right here in Makindye West, but also the head of institutions at the National Unity Platform. David, aren't you now scared after everything you've gone through? Tell me, now you go and bakwata mikwano jangi waliwo bamu abalina trauma even up to today banga trauma zikyalimu mpola tebakyayagala abantu babibombola. Are you still coming back after buli kimu kyoyiseemu? Ogenda kuddamu weesimbe ku ntebe eno okyaliwo?
Let me tell you, I have always told the people of our generation that there is nothing that will ever be given to us on a silver platter. We must fight for what belongs to us. And the word is fight. I am very deliberate. And with choice of words, we must fight. So what makes us be confident and be, for example, be flamboyant when we think that, for example, everything shall be given to us. Even the people that we are fighting today, the people that we challenge, the people that we oppose, at one time in their times, they went to the bush.
They lost lives.
They lost lives. So we want to buy emirundi ebiri nga man, I am here to stay. I am going to represent this constituency, Makindye West, come 2026.
So
no matter what. Tewali. The one thing that we fear, some of us, is only God. If you are not God and you are a human being,
yes, sir,
there is nothing you are telling us.
Kale abantu bannamakindye bakuulidde waliwo amateeka amapya ge baleese mu masomero mbadde njagala tutandikire nga before we enter the second hour. Abaana tebakyabakkiriza kukola prom parties, no campaign posters, no tours for nursery schools, no foreign trips without accreditation or approval of the government. Byonna bagamba nti bagezaako okukomyawo sanity mu masomero. You are the head of institutions at the National Unity Platform. Bino birowoozaako ki? Are these good deliberations?
You see, most of the times, government plays double standards. You see, you cannot say you want to have sanity in institutions, but you only look at where people have their leisure. It's where you are attacking. For example, if you want to return sanity, you know, education is a right. So?
Yes, sir.
And I totally believe that this country has a lot of money. This country has treasures. This country has got minerals. This country has a lot of money. This country is rich. That's why the imperialists actually called it the Pearl of Africa, the banana country. We believe that from all our treasures and minerals, we can actually support students to study for free. It's not the first country to for example, you would go to university for free of charge. But what is happening in the reality? What is happening in the universities as we speak today? The guilty president of Chambogo University, called Akiso, he was suspended. No, beyond the suspensions, he was thrown into incarceration. He was taken to Rizira maximum prison for only defending the rights of students, which is his mandate as a guilty president. So whatever is in this institution is suffocation, crippling all the students, because there are a lot of draconian policies that don't actually support the existence of most of the poor people, poor students in schools. You know, for example, tuition increment. You know, for example, for Chambogo alone, there was an increment of over 50% tuition increment. According to this economy, how do you even raise that? Instead, what government would have done for them to return sanity is to subsidize. For example, other countries have policies to subsidize.
Burkina Faso
to have a waiver.
And Ibrahim Traore has brought a new policy in Burkina Faso that you don't pay for school, for education.
That
up to university.
That's what I started with.
And
first
also,
of all, it is education is a right.
When you said our elders, our fathers did not pay directly for tuition. The Musevenis, I would say Mr. Museveni did not pay for tuition anywhere. Not even at Ntare, not even primary. Maybe university, I'm not sure, but that policy was there. That's what I'm trying to say.
So now you have to weigh between the promos. They are stopping, and the increment of tuition. You can look for the connection, and my brother, you can fail.
David Musiri, you want a kid to come in a helicopter at a prom party. A kid is coming with a Range Rover Sport. That is not African. That is not us. Where is the humility? Because this kid is studying with a kid who may not be privileged enough to have a Range Rover. But they are all in the same society. What are we telling? I think government yegezako gamba gana amalala tugakendeze.
For me, I have no challenge with, for example, allowing people to have promos or what we would have called picnic. Because during my time, we had our picnic in primary.
Yes, me too.
So you don't need people. If you don't have a shirt to put on, if you don't have a couple or a girl to walk with, so it's not, I am not responsible for you not having maybe your tie, but what is important, do we all receive the same basics? Because whether you come with on the promo with an helicopter, but as long as we are all given the same services, what matters, what results at the end of the day? Will the results also, you know, when you are looking at the results, for example, the credentials, if you get the credentials, shall we be able to say that this one got maybe first class because they came with an helicopter? Do you have that look?
No, aka Uganda.
No. What are they bastardizing? What are they bastardizing? Is it indicated anywhere that we have norms that one should not actually come with an helicopter? Maybe they are privileged. And is they are right. Here we have Ugandans who are not driving the same cars. There are those who have Benzes, you know, Mercedes, you know. There are those. So it doesn't matter. In Kenya here,
yes, sir.
In Kenya here, I don't know even what is happening, you know. We have to copy from other countries.
Okay.
There are students in Kenya who go to study every day using helicopters. It is okay. And I am telling you, because they go to school with helicopters, they are not the first in class. You'll find someone who comes on wiri on boda becomes the first in class.
On foot.
On foot.
Okay, sir.
So there is no connection. I think what they are doing, I think the government is on panic. Maybe they think that one day in these promos, just like we had the City Carnival, that in these promos maybe it can somehow happen and these students can, because of this money, they can connect and somehow rise and overthrow government. That is their fear.
Thank you so much. Let's take a break now. I don't know why everything keeps being skewed into violence.
That's why they are telling you, they started on universities that we shall not have processions.
I remember.
Because Makerere University alone can have a procession, and their fear is that at one day this procession can end up
there
at
is
State
another
House.
procession, the one of Arsenal fans.
Yes.
How do you feel a procession?
They even started arresting them.
Let's take a
just
short
because
commercial
Arsenal guys put on red, you know.
You are watching Digital TV. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with the second hour. I am with David Musiri. Thank you so much.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
The Ugandan National Museum, a place where unforgettable memories are created. Traditions are found and a connection to our Paul is reinforced. It is not only a testimony to the history of our nation, but also impacts knowledge of cultural and natural heritage to the present and future generations for their enjoyment. Through a variety of activities and exhibitions, we gather to discover our traditions and create new ones. The Uganda Museum is our country's cultural icon that makes it accessible for the next generations to come together as our story unfolds and represents the interplay of our country's past and present. It is in our history, but also in how it has evolved to embrace optical satisfaction and new influences. Our identity as a country is not only a moment in time, but also a journey of where we have been, where we are, and where we are going. We invite you to experience the authentic heritage, rich history of Uganda. Welcome to the Uganda National Museum.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
What did the church do?
Tolly man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanye now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Kulikayo webale kubanga okyali ku Digitalk TV. Nze Edgar Mathew Karuhanga ino program bagiyita Mighty Drive. Ebeerayo buli lunaku olwa Monday paka ku lunaku olwokutaano. Tutandika ku ssaawa 2 paka ssaawa 4 ez'okumakya nga tunyumyamu emboozi. Tubabulya biki ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga. Osobola okubanga okola okusalawo nga kulungamiziddwa bulungi. Omuzungu kyayita an informed decision. Nina wano omwami Mwesige Joram, thank you so much for watching. Ogamba Edgar Mathew, the government and community has no right how you spend your money. Government should pay attention to what is important. Bave Murugambo, you say you need the public to closely monitor how you use your money. So government abantu babuljo bakkirizibwa okubanga bamanyi engeri sente gye zikolebwamu. Brooke Williams kikomeko kwoli, Henry Mangeni kwoli, Kasule Isma kwoli, Henry Lubowa nawe kwoli. Banaye muli bangi mwebale kubanga mutulaba. Nabagambe ndine David Musiri onono nga yakulembera amatendekero oba institutions mu kibiina kya National Unity Platform. Yeeyagaliza entebe ya Makindye West wetusinziira okubanga tukuweereza enkya y'olunaku olwaleero. Council chicho yogera ku mbeera yadde Kawempe wetwogerera nga Joe Court. In fact olunaku lwaleero council nalukola abadde aweza emyezi 2 mu parliament. So we had thought it was done and dusted. Omukyala Nambi yasooka nakkiriza nti baamuwangula ate n'agenda n'ateekayo omusango ate n'agujjayo ate n'aguzzaayo kati mu kuguzzaayo officially electoral committee, in fact court yakakasiza that balina okuddamu balonde bujja. Kiki olowooza mu mbeera eno naddala nga tuli mu kwetegekera akalulu ka 2026?
Ebintu by'e Kawempe bizibu, but one of the things I can tell you and tell Ugandans who are now viewing us from here.
Yes, sir.
One, courts have always been on trial. Even when there is an electoral petition, it means wherever you handle it, people are watching you. The law is watching you. The rule of law is watching you. Therefore, courts are on trial. Tiwetubanga tugezesebwa mu electoral petition zino. Kikulu nnyo kubanga we are observing nti ekikolebwa kyekyo kirina okukolebwa. But one, wotunulira ku nsalawo ya kooti ne nalukola oku appealing to court of appeal. One, otunulira nnyo akalulu ako n'oketegereza nti woba ogambye nti akalulu kadibwemu kalondebwe ng'ate okimanyi bulungi nti tewaliwo by election ekkirizibwa mu myezi 6 katugenda tuka Kalulu otunulira kati olwaleero akalulu ako webagambidde baddeyo balonde kitegeeza nti bwokkiriza nodda mu Kalulu akalulu kate kagenda kubaayo
exactly because oba
oyingidde emyezi omukaaga okujjako era njagala kwebaza bonna of course they are very conscious people abasazewo nti baapiiringe si kukwapiiringa nti olwokubanga bakkiriza nnyo nti kooti egenda kubawa obwenkanya but ne bwe bandibadde tebaapiirinze waba tiwagenda kubeerayo Kalulu kitegeeza nti at the end of the day omuntu w'ekawempe mu constituency eyo yabadde ajja kunyigirizibwa nga talina representation
tamulina wetuwugirira kati literally
when you appeal to high court you automatically stay in parliament
that's true
and
the appeal will take even up to 90 days
jemyezi esatu kati naye ekyokusomoza kimunze nze omanyi ng'ebirala byonna mbiraba n'obunafu nsobola okukola ki obulamu obunafu bwe bwabadde naddala eri abalonzi akalulu akali highly contested like that nze ndowooza mbadde followinga court ezo mubadde mulimu ekibulamu nti one abalonzi bo bagenda kulonda bulonzi ndowooza ne balekawo ne basuulawo Kalulu ndowooza kyetwandiise okusuula okwo tekuba kulonda osuula busuuzi Kalulu n'ogamba ekijja kijje gweosuula n'otunula eri but in all these processes we would have seen the involvement of the mwananchi the people themselves nti kooti ng'akalulu mwagala nnyo omubaka gwe mwakalonda esooka kooti zandibadde nga zijjula buli kooti n'ekyokubiri nti n'abantu ne bajja ne babeerawo ku street wabweru wa kooti lwaki ne tulaba nga amagye gabagoba bugobi oba poliisi ng'ebakola ki oba nga abaofiisa ba kooti bagamba nti kati kino kikoleze kiyitiridde otherwise kiki ekikuleetera okulowooza nti kooti egenda kubawa obwenkanya kubanga ne bwe mubeera mu lutalo because what they were going through the electoral petition eyo gy'olabanga court it is also a battle you see in Kawempe it is a bigger war but in a war there are battles and every battle you go for you to win that battle olina okubeera nga oli very vigilant and so conscious you have to play your game well nti wetubadde mu lutalo olwo ng'olaba lutalo oyinza okulaba nga ababadde nti abalonzi bo bakijjako abagamba ffe twalonda nalukola byonna bitumaliriza but abalonzi babadde nabo balina omuzannyo balina rolo ey'okukola nti ne mu lutalo ne bamwami Museveni bagenda mu nsiko we bagamba nti ceasefire do you know what happened they go for negotiations but in the field ziseka
bali Nairobi peace talks naye nga eruwero
obadde tomanyi kiyinza kuteeka mulamuzi ku bunkenke nga kubanga asalawo ensala yonna ey'omusango naye nga wabweru abantu bajjudde abalonzi b'e Kawempe bagamba temuzanyira mu kalulu kaffe esooka akalulu ako kaalimu ebintu bingi abantu bawambibwa olwaliro tukyalina n'abantu abaalemala nga batambulira ku miggo waliwo ku bintu byonna ebyabaddewo okitegeera why do you think that Ugandans have to stay comfortable and leave the battle to either NUP and their member of parliament?
But they have taken part in that battle before. But you remember what happened even on
I am telling you
on the polling
in the battle. I am telling you there is nothing that shall be given to us on a silver platter. It is a continuous battle. You don't fight and go back and you turn into slumbers. You go and notandika abanywa ne banywa abadigida ne badigida abagenda mu
newe ulide koti kyawadde yagambye ku polling stations 14 obululu bwayo bonna tebabu consideringa waliwo ebizibu ku polling stations ezo inalukola ya campaigninga ku campaign day kitakkirizibwa nenambi tebamukiriza kulonda n'abantu abala mtwalo gumu kakaaga babalemesa nga mundaba ya koti results zino zine engeri gye zaali affectinzemu akalulu ke Kawempe kakaddamu koti eina point naddala Judge Bernard Namanya
nze ndowooza ogamba nti obululu tebaabalibwa ku polling station eno 14 there are rules that govern an election which has pretended over by the Constitution of Uganda. I have had elections nze mbadde mu bululu obwenjawulo. Sometimes some polling station is nullified, and there are reasons to why they are nullified. Kubanga tuyinza kugamba bugambi olwokubanga if there is a reason why it was nullified, there is no reason why you bring it back to the court. For example, tugamba nti akalulu waliwo be bakutte nga babbira akalulu ne bagamba kya bulijjo ne mu kalulu akabeera national wabeerawo polling stations nnyingi ezitabalirwa olw'ensonga nti wabaddewo obuvuyo mu polling station yezo. Era obuvuyo bwe bubeerawo, that is a regulator. Why they nullified those polling stations? Because there was something wrong that was happening. Perhaps that's why it was not counted. Because if it was well with everything, why couldn't they have counted all the votes? So bino byonna byetera okugamba nti kibeera kiiso kya mbuzi. Muganda agamba nti kiiso kya mbuzi kirekerera omussi ne kitunulira omubaazi. You know, whoever slaughters the fish.
The goat.
Agisaze ona asazeeko omutwe. Naye gwaza okujjako eddiba gwe kikola ki gwe kitunulira. So nze ndowooza nti Chovola anagambye in the beginning that courts are on a trial.
Have they failed?
Oh, they have failed on very many occasions.
But when they give you justice, Musiri, you don't call them a failure. Like the court, the Supreme Court ruling in 2021, you welcomed the Chief Justice's ruling and you said, this is a good ruling that was done by the Supreme Court of the land. In that case,
so when for example the Chief Justice and actually the Constitutional Courts came out and said that, for example, it is wrong for a civilian to be tried in court, what is happening today?
At least they went and they put the clause.
That's what I'm telling you, that they are on trial. Do you have the real power?
No, but what I'm saying, they have done their part.
That's the principle of separation of powers work. That is when I say it is double standards. Sometimes there are indications of double standards. Today they can decide to give us, for example, victory of maybe a councillor of Sijui Rese Kabira Maido, that this one, the electoral petition, he has won the case. For that one, but what is its impact? So for me to be exonerated, one person to be singled out, what matters, is it deliberate? Does it have any impact it causes? So I should not be selfish because I won one case. Then I say, oh, now courts are working because the courts were on my side.
Okay.
Justice should be justice.
As you conclude.
You know? And should be given when it is the right time.
Yeah, because that's
and I am telling
justice.
You, and injustice anywhere, it is injustice everywhere. So you don't say because on Yajizebwat we have seen these courts on trial and they have failed very many times, but we only need, for example, to awaken the citizens of Uganda to know what is happening.
Thank you, and that's what a Mighty Drive show is here to do, to awaken the citizens of Uganda to a better country. What's happening in East Africa? What's the problem? Because these days it feels like the entire East Africa is kind of a cocoon of what you may call some injustices. Why I say this is, you remember what happened in Kenya? Many people, Dr. Besigye was picked in Kenya last year, abducted and brought up to here. I don't even know how that happened because it is not allowed. It's actually illegal. Same case with the FDC leaders. When you go to Tanzania, Tundu Lissu has been being disappeared in different areas. Now the people who go as activists or people who try to stand with him, you've heard what happened to Mwangi, Boniface, what happened to Agatha. Very sad. Agatha confirmed that she was raped in those cells. Very, very sad. Now when you come to Uganda, we've been talking about these things. What is happening to East Africa, David?
I think we should think beyond East Africa. For me, I am seeing a phase of liberation. This time not liberating these countries from the hands of the colonialists and imperialists, but this time around is to liberate these countries from neo-colonialists, people that work on behalf of the white people, on behalf of the former colonies. Because I can guarantee you that Africa is not free. Just like Kwame Nkrumah said that, for example, Ghana cannot be independent without other colonies, other nations in Africa, without them being free or independent. One of the things that I would draw your attention for, plus the viewers, is the young man, the president, Ibrahim Traore. Most of us had thought that maybe we no longer have such people of such a caliber. For example, you would say that is the resemblance of Thomas Sankara of our generation. And sure, some people, actually even me inclusive, I think it is a phase that if we wake up, actually Africa is possible that Africa can be united under one president. One of the things that challenge me is when you see some countries, for example, like Gambia. Do you know Gambia? Have you ever visited Gambia?
The Gambia.
Gambia is one of the nations. It is a country in Africa. But this country, I think it has like, it is just like one family.
It's 1.2 million population and one
but
family.
But beyond having that population, it is a family. So it is a very small country that if you woke up one day, Karamaji and Karuhanga, and you want to run, you are jogging, you end up crossing the country, you know. And you can imagine in this country called Gambia, how can it come on the same round table trying to discuss with US? How does US view it in its capacity? Like for example, now Rwanda is in negotiations with the US.
Yes.
So some of the things I think that we need in Africa is, one of the things is to unite. But we have a very big challenge of tyrannies in East Africa. For example, the overstay of General Museveni, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in East Africa has also bastardized and encroached on all other authorities in the East Africa.
Is he that powerful, Mr. Museveni?
I am telling you, he has been here. He decides on who to become president of another country.
Wow.
Some of them, I hear that he is now one of the biggest mercenaries on the continent is General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. When it comes to go to Somalia, you'll find him. When it comes to go to for robbery in Congo, you'll find his army.
You call him
you'll find
a mercenary. Other people call him a peacekeeper.
Peacekeeper? What do you mean? Do you mean you want to say that there is peace here? You cannot be a peacekeeper on the continent when there is no peace in your country. Are
you saying Uganda does not have peace?
Which peace? Which peace when people are being abducted every day? Which peace when some people can get problems and there is no security, but on the police, on the security is there for the opposition leaders. You drive border to border. It means that
you can drive
I told you from the beginning. I told you from the beginning that in this country, instead of security giving peace to these people, it is hunting them as enemies. As rebels in their own country.
Because they are rebels in this country.
How?
According to
which rebel?
To UPDF.
Which rebel?
Let's first continue to talk about the rebels later. Let's talk about East Africa.
I am telling you. So you find I was part of the Gen Z last year.
Protest.
Protest in Kenya. You'd find the people that shot the young people, the Gen Zs of Kenya. Some of them were mercenaries from Uganda. I think you got that information.
I had those rumors, the claims. There's even an image of a man. No, there is no evidence to confirm it. So as a journalist, I call it.
Of course, you cannot get evidence in such areas. But because technology is here, you know, technology is here, and our courts are there, and they are known, that you can be seen that you are Karuhanga, you are in the UPDF, you are seen shooting. young men and women in Kenya. It is possible.
There's an image of a man that was trending, really. They are claiming he was from Uganda.
So I can tell you that the impunity that has overstayed in Uganda
you've called it
escalated
impunity
in East Africa.
Samia Suluhu has just come. In fact, she came to finish a term that was never even hers. I think she's finishing it this particular year. Ruto was democratically elected by Kenyans last year, I think 2022. Yes, 2022. So these people are new. How is it that in their newness, they are that shameless?
Yeah, I think those of us that were contesting even the cause of death of the former president, now it becomes clear why Magufuli had to go at that time. Because one was pig-headed, he couldn't listen to the old man. And you can imagine who was there, who is seen on his bed in the last moments. It is the current, who was by then vice president and now is the president. But also, you know what happened in Kenya, that General Museveni did not only support Ruto covertly, but physically. He came out and expressed the support.
But he has always liked Ruto, really. Even when he was still deputy president, even in his days of KANU, Ruto has been a way of, one would call, a friend to Mr. Museveni over time. But
then you should look at the roots. Why is he his friend? Because he was trained by another dictator, Moi. And Ruto was Moi's right man.
Yes, yeah. Really,
so you should know where these things start. So for him, he knew that for him, as one who has dreams, one, to become president of East Africa, but two, to become a very big machinery in Africa, he knows which people to deal with to make sure that his plans and deals and dreams come true. You know, so it is not just that it has just come, that it is automatic, or this has been deliberate efforts. That, for example, if you want to cordon off, for example, Tanzania, you need to use this weakness. They are just sorts of weakness.
Who is safe? Because in the past you used to hear at least people basing in Tanzania, Museveni based in Tanzania, people are basing in Kenya. Now there is no way.
And you should know the reason why he's doing that.
Why?
It is the same reason why you are saying he based in Tanzania.
Yes.
The reason why he cleared and did deforestation in this country is because he thinks that the youth may start from where he did start from. Now, the Brotherhood of East Africa, you cannot be comfortable. And everyone who thinks that for you can be comfortable in Uganda, and don't think about what is happening to the neighborhood of Kenya and what is happening to Tanzania, and you think you can become and you emerge a leader, is wrong. East Africa goes hand in hand. There is nothing you can do. Because one, Uganda is a landlocked country. You need, if anything, you need to deal in business with the people of Kenya.
Of Kenya and Tanzania itself.
And Tanzania itself. So you cannot survive alone. So this old man knew that if I want to put my best here, if I want my dictatorship to thrive here and maybe create a monarchy, I need to do this. One, I think he deceives that these other presidents are not safe without him. It's the first thing. He tells them, if you want to be president of Kenya, you need to work with me. If you want to survive and not only serve this term that the former president left, you have to be in my...
Or maybe they also know it's what you have to do, because all of them, when you realize, after an elective term, they fly to Uganda. I think it's one of the first countries. Ruto comes here, Samia Suluhu comes here. It's only Kagame that seldomly comes here direct. So I think they know something that David may not know. They see a power this man has and an influence that he has. And my question then is, how are you going to deal with such a powerful man?
It's not so much powerful as people seem to say. But as the East African people, we have a solution. And that's why you are seeing when activists and lawyers and journalists try to go and witness, for example, to Nusuru's courts, some are arrested, some are deported, and that cannot be a solution because the East African people are watching. The East African people are ready to rise. They will unseat all dictators in East Africa. It has always been. I am telling you, one of the things I was saying that one of the things that I see, it is a phase of liberation in East Africa. It is very possible that the whole of East Africa can be liberated. You remember what happened in the West African countries, where over 4 or 3 countries got their freedom, got liberated because of just a mere activist who burnt himself on the streets and didn't die that day. So don't take these activists, and when these dictators arrest them, you think activists are a joke. Do you know why we are abducted every day? Because there is something that we come with. I think East Africa is ready for a spark. We only need one trigger. It can come from Kenya, it can come from Uganda, it can come from Tanzania. And I can tell you,
you had a spark in last year. You were in Nairobi.
Yes.
What more of a spark would you want?
Of course, that wasn't on a spark. It caused a lot of very many things were resolved in Kenya.
Yeah, I'm saying, but here in Uganda, because
it is soon coming. You know, I have told you, when you have a war, there are battles involved. Who knows? The next battle can be 2026.
Museveni has told you before that do not expect what happened in other countries.
Museveni is not a god.
No, but
he's a
why I'm
human
saying
being.
that, because he has made 40 years saying the things he's saying, and nothing has taken him out. So this person, one would say, after 40 years, we can confirm that what he says he means.
I am telling you, that's why I was using...
He told you by 2026 you won't have opposition. We are seeing the opposition at the worst of its own. Aren't you just belittling the power that man has, that Mr. Museveni wields? Aren't you just undermining it? Aren't you just missing the strength of your opponent?
I am telling you, under the People's Jumuiya, already people are organizing. I wouldn't tell you here, but under the People's Jumuiya, people are already organizing. Yesterday when I was in Kenya, we addressed the East Africa as Ugandans, as Kenyans, as people of Tanzania. We are already organizing. You see, while I am running as Member of Parliament of Makindye West, I am not only eyeing at Makindye West. Makindye West cannot be peaceful if Uganda is not peaceful at large. Uganda cannot be peaceful if the East Africa is not conscious, is not peaceful. And for us, we are ready. It doesn't matter. That's why I was telling you about Ibrahim Traore. You do not know how many times and for how long Burkina Faso has suffered. But the young man is here.
You see, Musiri, I'm also going to disagree with you when it comes to that man. I'm not disagreeing with the person of Traore.
Yes.
But the fact that Traore is holding guns, I don't think you should trust, and we as Ugandans should know this best. You don't trust men with guns. They come when they are the best. When you look at Mr. Museveni's statements during the time of the Bush, even before the Bush, even after the Bush, rightly, he was another Thomas Sankara, sorry, another Ibrahim Traore. He had the best ideas, but people with guns are still soldiers. They still have the guns. They may not be blazing, but they are still guns. So I want to disagree with most of the people who see Traore as an elite, as a liberator of Africa. Because when you also look at how he's dealing with political dissent in his Burkina Faso, then you realize that it's just, he will play when, I feel it's just politics at play as an individual.
You see, my brother, whether you have guns or you have placards, because it is two-way, majorly, you either become non-violent and come with placards or come with guns blazing. There are only two options. But I want to tell you that all of them is a battle. It's a battlefield.
Okay.
Because I don't know what you mean by someone having the gun, because at the end of the day, it is an individual that is accounted for. Because we have seen people coming with ballot papers who are elected into power and who have turned out to be dictators too. It is very possible. So it is never about the weapon that one uses, whether it is a bullet.
No, because they turn that weapon, when you start to become a dissenting voice, that gun turns to you. That's the thing about these liberators.
But even those that are elected actually by a bullet, by a ballot, I am telling you, they also have an authority of a gun. That's why the army, like UPDF, will always be there. When you become a statesman, you have a gun, you like it or not.
Yes, but at least let me not come with a gun. It's a difference when someone comes with the gun. Like Museveni.
No, leave alone. For you are talking about the intimidation. Someone telling you, I am master of violence.
Yes,
that is the part of
intimidation. A paper will not take me out. And it's 40 years.
But even those that come with papers, I am telling you, there are those who say, this paper that I came with cannot take me out. It is all the same. So it comes back to someone whose values. What do you stand for?
So where does East you said we're organizing as East Africans.
Yeah, we are organizing as East Africans, and very soon.
But are we? I'm not seeing any semblance of organization. Maybe apart from Kenya. And also Kenya, they are divided. Raila Odinga, they're no longer trusting Raila and Ruto at the same time. So how organized are we? Are you just trying to encourage Ugandans?
You know why the Gen Zs decided to say it is leaderless, partyless,
colorless.
That analogy?
Yes, please.
It's because of people like the Railas of Odinga. Some of them used to hide in there, but they were never part from the beginning. So when you say that they are not, they are misunderstandings, it has never been there. He has never been there. So the young people, the young generation,
yes, sir.
It is unanimously joining together to fight the impunities over East Africa and Africa at large. So for me, I still see a phase of liberation on the continent. Ntingabo twali nebana aba generation izaliwo nezitwala abafuzi ba matwale.
Yes.
Tebyali byangu.
Yes.
You know, because we were not there, but sometimes they would rise and fail. There is a reason why the Mau Mau people, it lasted for so long for that time, because it wasn't that every day you rise up you win, you rise up you take over. No, it is in stages, and people should learn how to hang in there.
Oh, so what you're trying to say is we read the times, because there was a time when there were fights against independence, fighting for independence.
Yeah.
Then post-independence,
yeah.
There were liberation struggles all over Africa. Then after that, the rise of dictators. Now we are seeing a fall of dictators. So are you talking about such a time frame?
Yes. That's why I'm saying that it is not only about reading the time, but the people are also preparing to get ready. Because when you see Tundu Lissu is in jail, here Dr. Kano Chiza Besigye is in jail with the likes of Eddie Mutwe, with the likes of Obed, with the likes of very many people under incarceration. And you watch what is happening in Kenya, a lot of activists, every day they discover a dead body somewhere, dumped somewhere. So we know that something is happening. Okay. And we should just get ready.
Thank you so much. That is 5 minutes past the top of the hour. We are into the last 20 or so minutes, and we are coming to the end of this conversation. I am privileged to be with David Musiri, who is the head of institutions at the National Unity Platform, but also he is standing for Member of Parliament for Makindye West constituency, where we are streaming live from. So you can join the conversation at The Alternative Uganda, at Digital TV, that is on Facebook, on X, but also on YouTube. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. Now, there are new laws, sir, that have been amended, and we're just waiting for the President to consent to them. Matekago, Mulimwera UPDF Amendment Act now, 2025, then Political Parties and Organizations Act. Gana mateka majja gonna abiri political party eringa ebadde tega kiririzamu. Nyinja atusoke kuteeka lino erya UPDF. Kyemmanyi etteeka lino engeri geri highlighting ensonga ez'enjawulo, boogera ku pension aba soldiers, bagala ku formalizing the Special Forces Command. Naye mulimu akawaayiro akasinga okubanga kali controversial ke kawero ko kukomyawo General Court Martial, naye ate General Court Martial eno okubanga egenda kubanga eweebwa amaanyi okutryinga ba civilians oba abantu ba bulijjo nga gwe nange. So kino bannabyobufuzi bakirabye nga ekireeteddwawo okuleetamu oba okulemesa abantu abemu naddala abakola ebyobufuzi mu ggwanga. Njagala mpulire David Musiri kikyalowooza ku tteeka lino erijja.
First of all, on principle, it violates Article 92, which says that if, for example, if a ruling has been made by court, it should not be altered by any other branch of government. Nti court webanga yayimiridde n'esalawo ensalo oba n'esalawo okusalawo, Parliament ayitesobola kujja kutandika ku debatinga ku ekyo kyemaze kusalawo. Kooti yakisalawo bulungi.
Mpulira sebo.
Negamba nti abantu tebalina kukozesebwa mu kooti z'amagye. A precedent was set by when the court ruled in favor of the 4 backbenchers over the 500 million and the 400 million corruption scandal that came as a service award. You remember the likes of Sechikubo had a censorship motion to censor the likes of the 4 backbenchers, the Honorable Mpuga and the other
commissioners,
4 commissioners of NRM. But the Speaker of Parliament stood her ground and said, actually through that very article of 92, that whatever has been ruled over by courts of law shall not be discussed in Parliament. And that's exactly what happened. Now, what is very important in this bill that it can still be brought back? One, it violates also the principle of separation of powers. Nti government etula ku masiga asatu. Waliwo essiga eriddamuzi, waliwo essiga erya Parliament, waliwo n'essiga erya executive. Naye amasiga gano gonna galina kubeera nga gali independent in nature. Yensonga lwaki Parliament is supposed actually also to whip the executive. Nti Parliament webeera nga ina confidence ngeri independent yesobola okucheckinga essiga eryeki erya executive mubeera ba president ne ba ministers be ne public service. Witegera nti ekyo wekiba tekivuddewo kivola abantu ogenda kulaba nti etteeka lino oligibwa bweriti, etteeka lino oligibwa bweriti, because etteeka nga lijja, for us we think about the spirit in which it is brought in.
Yes,
the spirit is very important.
Omwoyo oguleeta etteeka
naye gana amabago gonna ne woba ogamba nti mulimu, of course mubeeramu ebirungi. Kibeeranga nze wetwabeeranga abato, abaana bato bangi batyanga okumira buno obukerenda obukaawa naye nga bakateekako sugar coating. So one of the sugar coats is that they are going to discuss the pension system of the soldiers. They are going to discuss the insurance, which is a good thing. But why do you also smuggle in things like, if you put on a shoe like that, actually that shoe, you can be tried in military code. That shoe you are putting, as long as it is a black shoe.
Even a kaunda suit.
Even a kaunda suit. So we must think about the spirit first.
Okay, but also the Supreme Court say, and it made a verdict, but it gave recommendations. It did actually not trash the General Court Martial. It said, in our mind, if you can do this, better this, put professional people on that general court martial who know how to dispense evidence, you professionalize that general court martial, then it will be in operation. So I'm thinking the people behind the bill are saying, we have now made this particular law better now. Let's bring it back to Parliament and be passed.
You see, having recommendation is there is another thing, and following them is also another thing. What does the law say? What does even... because there are rules of procedures. One of the rules of procedure, I think it is 128, which says that, for example, for a bill to be passed, it shall be given over 45 days. At least 45 days. Yeah. You know? But now, in the 45 days, one of the things that you have to do is also to benchmark.
Yes.
And have, for example, the law dons give their memorandum and also give their inputs. You saw papers flying over that, for example, for Uganda Law Society, they were invited at around 9 a.m. and they were supposed to give their input at noon, same day. So what we have had question is, why the hurry? Why are you rushing? Why are you rushing? You invite the Secretary Generals of parties, for example. Ours, Dr. Lewis David Rubongoya. You invite him at night and he's supposed to present his input very early in the morning. You know? What rocket science? And why the rush? You see, so that's why we say we should look at the spirit into which these bills are brought in.
What is the spirit?
What is the spirit? The spirit is there is a tyranny who is forcing these people, because, you know, the reason why they had slapped on me charges of aggravated robbery is because this court was not in presence. When they came to my home, when they raided my place, I am telling you, they searched everything. And theirs was, we need to get the overall. We need to have the barrette. You know? So you see, so we should look at, really, for example, why would you have a political party amendment bill that says everyone should have a dialogue, and the dialogue is now a law? Yes. That you must have a dialogue.
Muchifo chokulwana munyumye.
Ali kunyumya ki? Ogenda kunyumya.
Lwaki oyagala ssente nga
kiri ku side eri nti Mwami Museveni alina okubayita abatuuzaawo abalabe.
No, anti kyagamba mukifo kyammwe ogenda mukole ebiri unconstitutional, at least munyumye.
A dialogue should be optional. It is me who decides if I want to talk to you. Way, if I don't want to talk to you, why would you force me to talk to you? Then it's okay. If
you don't want to talk to me, then don't get the money.
Do you know the challenge with the money? What they raise there, it is accountability. Who doesn't account? Of all parties. Actually, NUP has not been getting that iPod money. It has been getting money from government. Electoral Commission. Through Electoral Commission.
Yes, and government gives it to Electoral Commission.
But iPod money is not government money.
Electoral Commission gives it to
it is money that is robbing.
Yes. Apart from that money, they are also saying this money from government, in order for you to get it, you have has the 5 billion has the Electoral Commission come out that NUP has not accounted for what it is given. But because for me, I am a NEC member in NUP, and my department works. I go for these campaigns, and whatever I use, I must receipt it. And we have internal auditors who come every month, every quarter, and audit our books. So has the Electoral Commission come out and said that, for example, NUP has not accounted for what it is given? So there is something that is being smuggled in any bill that you see there. Why do you want the money?
There is something that they are smuggling.
David, why do you want the money but you don't want to talk?
The money is constitutional.
Yes.
The money we want is constitutional. Now, we don't want the money that is supposed to be robbed to actually compromise heads, to compromise political leaders.
And what they are saying, in order for you to get the constitutional money, according to the new constitution, you have to sit down with DP, with PPF, with NRM, sit down and talk. what is the problem with you sitting
now,
down and talk
instead
to access
of
money?
instead of them forcing that, they would have gotten, they would have mitigated around the factors of why people don't want to meet. Why does NUP don't have talks with DP? Anyway, why would NUP have talks with DP when the DP president is the constitutional, the justice minister of NRM government? Even DP itself cannot sit itself down and speak
but
as we talk
politics
now.
is not about enmity.
No, we are not talking about enmity. We are talking about values.
That's what I'm saying.
The reason why I don't want to talk to you is the values you stand for. It's not. It's never enmity.
How are you going
because
so that means in order for you to take my power, you will have to first take me out. If you're not going to talk to me.
No, I am telling you, parties can take over power without even having a talk with the ruling party. It is very possible. You don't have now. You want us to talk about what? Kneel down and say, man, you are old. You are no longer thinking. Can we take over?
Thank you so much. Let's move on to the issue that we have rebels. And why I ask you this is because I saw the name NUP linked to those rebels. That the rebels support NUP according to Kano Magezi, and the rebels are in this area. And that these rebels are being funded by one of the German, I think the German ambassador. He says he's funding subversive activities. That's the word they used. What do you think about this new phenomenon of having rebels in the country?
I think that should be treated as propaganda. Propaganda has always been there. Even when NRA was coming.
UPDF doing propaganda?
Yeah.
It feels like UPDF doing politics when you say that.
But UPDF has been always doing politics.
Let's
because even before we go there, the reason why some of us think that even the UPDF amendment bill was wrong is because it is trying, one, to constitute SFC.
Yeah, legally now, yes. It's going to be another force. We're going to be having four forces.
It is still by force, and actually it is called a command. And there are a lot of people who are actually discussing on the same. But now it means, what is SFC? And Ugandan is mindful of what problems it can lead us into. Because you remember, I can tell you the problem with having two armies in the same country, it can, if you remember what happened to Saddam Hussein, the Republican command, the Republican brigade, the real UPDF refused to fight the enemy, and the Republican Guard were there. Did they fight anything? Saddam, where did it end? Gaddafi in Libya, he had an army of the ladies. What did he do?
No, but Auntie, what they are saying is that since the Constitution only thought we have land forces and air forces, let's just be open to say we have a land force, we have an air force, we have a special force, and we have the reserve force. So it's just to be open to say, but the UPDF has grown.
Special force is not special force as you think. It is a separate army.
In an army?
Yes, in an army. And that's why it is wrong. You know, during CA, the likes of, you know, even if someone was bad, you would remember the good things he had. Anobo Mayombo, in a good spirit, in 1994, he said, because one, these other, the Musevenis and the other guerrilla people that had come from the bush wanted to name UPDF, not UPDF, but the Uganda Armed Forces. Actually, they wanted to make it Armed Forces. And Nobo Mayombo said, no. We do not want to create another dictator. We want this army not to work for an individual, but to work for the people. Country. And that's why it was termed as the UPDF, the Uganda People's Defense Forces. People's, meaning that it is centered on theirs. The people. But he is bringing back the armed forces back through SFC. Okay. This is a personal army for the president. And such armies have always led countries into shutters. You know,
in Sudan,
because the people, the real army will abandon its
Isn't
work,
that what is in
and
Sudan?
they are not paid. Yes, even in
Sudan,
in
RSF and,
yes.
and Sudan People's Forces.
That's where it ends. It ends in the Kwagamea, and that's where we are going to. I am telling you, if Ugandans cannot rise and cannot see through this, this is not only. It's not like what some people say that this is Air Force. What? SFC has everything. It has the Air Force within it. It has the Land Forces within it. It has everything. It is an army on itself. And that's why everyone
Pledger said
wanted
that
to
you
challenge
people
it.
have a problem, but it's a special force because they are special in nature. And he gave me an example that when they deployed 14 of them in Sudan, they did an operation that even restored sanity or peace back to that
Then
country.
why don't you train all the UPDF people to be at the level of those? So you think there is magic? Or these are robots? These are human beings also. And I am telling you, apart from this intimidation and people fearing them, some of them are worthless. Some of them cannot even stand their ground for punches. Look at it.
That's how they will be shooting you people.
They are not shooting where?
So you called the rebels propaganda. But if it's not propaganda, this is tedious an issue. It's very big because we know with our history the rebels have taken power before in this country and it was not good. 500,000 Ugandans, more than that, lost their lives. So,
but you are talking about rebels taking power. We still have a president who calls himself a rebel, and the rebels are still occupying Uganda.
Yeah,
they
but
are under occupation of the
no,
rebels.
by declaration, by the first declaration they made.
But every day is declaring wherever we have independence. Wherever you have independence in Kororo, he says, our government of the rebels, you know.
Yes, he knows, but when in some school of politics, they say when the illegitimate people take power, they become legitimate. So they became legitimate. But that's what I'm saying. With our background, don't you see this as a challenge?
I think
and you're also on ground, lastly, sorry. You're also on ground, you talk to the young people. I feel there is an anger down there. An anger that can brew into anything. So, is this still propaganda?
I think the young people's hunger is a good hunger, that they want the best for this country. None of them wants to burn Uganda into ashes. None of them. At least that one I am sure. Actually, people who don't wish well is those people who are now trying to purport to be in love of this country, to purport to be patriots of this country, who are not actually patriots of this country.
Okay.
But the young people want to have a country that they own, a country that they are accounted to, a country that will have their future protected.
Yes,
that's what the people want. And once that is given to them,
okay.
No
Lastly, as we conclude, what do you make of the comments of Mr. Kanle Bakwanda Nahoj Salim Saleh when he met the German delegation? His description of Muhoozi himself, but also how he took on the issue of Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Him as I will just call him a senior citizen.
One of the things I cannot trust is one who has been a guerrilla fighter, because right now Akanda Naho is still called Salim Saleh. He's not a Muslim, but he's Salim Saleh, and some people even greet him thinking he's a Muslim. So for one who is not pure, I don't think they can bring sanity. That's why I think they can say whatever they want to say, but they want to go through that. You see, there is what we call Skumawiki politics. Skumawiki politics. Skumawiki is sauce, you know, but this sauce is not for luxurious people that I really want to take this. But you only actually prefer it when there is scarcity. So when there is scarcity, you want to push for a week. And you have somehow thrive on this week. So this is what Kwandanaho is doing. He's trying to survive. You even abuse Muhozi. You even abuse whoever you want to abuse. As long as they want their point to be taken. As long as they are leaving this shit and plan for another thing. So I don't... They are good at that. They are the masters of that.
It's just, you're just saying they're just
hoodwinking.
When he says he's almost a Gen Z, I feel that's a bit belittling, isn't it?
Why would you say he's almost a Gen Z? Someone who is actually 50 years
exactly
going to the 60 phase. Why? I have told you that from the personality of the one that you are asking me, one who is not a Muslim but purports to be a Muslim, how do you trust such?
Okay, so you're saying he who gives justice should come with clean hands.
Yes.
Give us your parting shots, sir.
To the people of East Africa, I think we had two schools of thought. There was one of Julius Nyerere and the one of Kwame Nkrumah. For Kwame Nkrumah wanted Africa to get united. From the school of thought of Julius Nyerere, he proposed the regional, just like East African Federation, like so. It is strong betrayal by the president of Tanzania to do whatever she's doing. And sure, as we speak now, I think, because the dead are not dead in Africa. I know that I know that Mwalimu Nyerere, an alumnus from Makerere University, where I come from, he's not happy. And something is about to happen in the East African Federation. And we still demand for justice for Agatha Atuhaire and for Boniface Mwangi of Kenya. They should be given justice, should be compensated. As we stand as the people's Ujomia, we still demand for their compensation. We are going to still move on. We are not stopping now. We are still coming for you. We are coming Tanzania, we are coming Kenya, we are coming Uganda, we are coming East Africa. And for the people of Makindye West, we are just warming up. You know, when the verdict came out of the court of Nalukola, everyone was calling me. Are you seeing what these people are saying? We are going to vote you, but we don't want this. So for us, we are ready.
Okay.
As people of Makindye, we are ready. We are coming.
Thank you.
Tuja.
Thank you. 1 minute to the top of the hour. Thank you so much, David, for joining us this morning. Thank you to our viewer for tuning in from the time we started at 8 a.m. up to now. Thank you so much. It's always humbling that you watch this particular feed from wherever you're watching from, especially the people in the diaspora. Thank you so much for always following this conversation. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. This is Digitalk TV. I would love to also applaud the lady on camera, that is Ted, but also Mr. Mukose Arnold Anthony is always the gentleman in production, making sure that you get this coverage in a clear image and better source as he can. So thank you so much to that team. We shall see you again tomorrow. It will be a Woman Crush Wednesday. Lillian will be here to usher you into the midweek. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. Please do follow me at Edgar M. Karuhanga on Facebook and X, that is Twitter. From the entire team, God bless you and good morning, Uganda.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.